What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Second Avenue Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathon and Elijah.
I'm your other host, Elijah. Let's just kick it off. I just got off work. I was watching some of the March Madness games. Officially March, round of 64 games going on. Who is your pick to take it all this year?
I'm a big basketball fan, but I'm a big NBA fan more so than college basketball. But I love March Madness, but I don't really know anything about the teams going in to the tournament. So I just look off stats. I look off, the predictions. So on my bracket, I went with Illinois. I mean, I don't think they're going to win, but I had to go with Illinois. What about you?
My heart's with Illinois. Obviously, that's where my ties are going to be. It's not a crazy thing to say they can win a natty, but I have them losing to Arizona in the Sweet 16 and Arizona taking it all. I think that'll be a great game. Arizona and Illinois have had some classic games from back in the 2000s. So, I'm just hoping for another instant classic. They did snub us at home this year. So, Illinois could be looking for revenge all summer 16,
Ooh, a little foreshadowing there. But no, I definitely, I don't think Illinois is going to win, but I hope they do, obviously. So I went with it.
It's wide open. They have all the pieces, so.
I've seen a lot of brackets that have people saying Kentucky's going to win. Their bracket just got ruined. So that's tough.
I was another one a lot. That was a trendy Final Four pick. They were really hot. Sorry, Mauricio and Sammy.
Yeah, sorry for Iowa. That's unfortunate as well. I had them going, decently far. But I'm going to quiz you here. I have 3 college basketball teams that I just for no reason love. Let's see if you can guess one of them.
Okay.
They're all in the tournament.
Oh, any hints or anything? Or
one of them's out already. One of the teams won multiple championships when we were younger.
UNC.
Nope.
Duke.
No.
All right. Kansas.
No, the 3 random teams I love.
Oh, UConn.
Yeah. UCLA and Michigan. I love those 3 schools for whatever reason.
I hate Michigan. Michigan's right up there with Iowa for me.
I don't know. I always just liked Michigan. I like the colors. I just, the Fab Five, that documentary hit me at the right age. I was like, I like Michigan colors. They got some good drip. I was like,
I love the Fab Five. That's great documentaries, of course, and everything. I've read books about them, and I love that era of Michigan. Not so much this new one where they're kind of Illinois' biggest rivals. So
yeah, they kind of are. But I really loved Jordan Poole a couple years ago. So I was like, I'm all in on Michigan.
Yeah, Trey Burke back in the day, he was a dog too.
Yep. So always I put Michigan going decently far sometimes. I don't remember how far I have them going. Not all the way, obviously, but
they're frauds this year. That's all I gotta say. They shouldn't have even made the tournament.
Yeah, shout out to Juwan Howard as well.
Dude's built different. We need Devin bringing that energy next year.
Free Juwan. But we're talking basketball. We got to take it back to some real life basketball. We just finished the season, so that means the park basketball season in air quotes has officially began. Every Sunday, Second Avenue boys will probably be at McFerrin Park in Hoopeston, Illinois. So if you're around the area, pop out, say what's up, come get this work.
Yeah, we've been pretty deep this week. You haven't been there, of course, back in Blono, but yesterday they were probably 20 deep. I had to work, so that kind of sucked. But Sunday's usually the deepest day, so brand new hoops and everything. So just come out, come get the work.
Yeah, it's been a little bit too deep for my liking. I like a 12 to 15 range. So if you set out one game, that's fine. But I'm not trying to set out 2 or 3 games. I'm not trying to do all that. But I feel like most of the time I don't have
competition. Then is it's up then. So I take it with a grain of salt. Of course, no one likes sitting games, but
facts. But when I'm out there, I'm not sitting because I'm winning.
Okay.
Last week we had 2 of the fam on, Lauren and Sammy. Both had birthdays this week. So, happy birthday belated to Sammy. We went out to eat for her birthday, went to this Korean barbecue restaurant. It was different. I've never been to a place like that. They were cooking it up in front of us. Oh, it was crazy. And they had this dessert. It was something called taro ice cream, which apparently was some root or something, but it was life-changing.
The only restaurant I eat where they cook the food in front of me is Subway.
Oh, I know you picky. I know you probably wouldn't be down for it, but it was fire. And I had some spare ribs or something. They were bomb. But yeah, so happy birthday to Sammy. Happy belated. And then on the day of recording this, it is Lauren's birthday in 2 days. So, we're going to go out for Lauren's birthday, have a good time. So what are you thinking for that day? Is it going to be a movie?
It's my return to Red Lion. If you know, you know. That's all I got to say there.
Actually, we're definitely not going to Red Lion. So,
okay.
And if you're listening, don't go to Red Lion. They're canceled.
My fault. So what are we hitting, Cams or Joe's for the viewers?
We're probably hitting Cams. It's this episode's going to be out by the time we're there. So
right.
if you saw us,
I get
us.
that. So,
but did you hear about Red Lion getting canceled?
I did, man. We'll just say my return to Green Street.
I'm with it. All right. Well, I think that was enough, non-music talk. So I think it's time to get into the music.
All right. So we had posted a poll. It's been a couple weeks now for Death Race for Love's 3-year anniversary. We asked, which song is your favorite song of Death Race for Love? We had Anthony coming in with 10 Feet, Kobe coming in with Rider, Riley coming in with Empty, Faith and myself coming in with Who Shot Cupid, Brian coming in with Make Believe, and Mario, shout out Ermac 2K on IG, hit him for the beats. He came up with Out My Way. And then Sida, she hit me with Desire there. Personal reason. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. What's your favorite track on Death Race for Love?
Okay. I'll leave it a little bit up in the air there. Personally, I'm going with Demons. It's really Brent Faiyaz, but I love that song. So it's kind of a cheating answer, but if I had to pick another song, maybe like 10 Feet. I do love 10 Feet. Got that Daniel Caesar sample on that. I love the original Daniel Caesar song as well. So can't go wrong with that.
Definitely. That's songs, it's climbed up in my discography. It's a pretty good album, of course. I'd say it's, and personally, in my opinion, I'd say it's better than Goodbye and Good Riddance at this point for me.
I'm taking Goodbye and Good Riddance, but it was crazy. It says a lot about the album that there were so many different choices for favorite song.
Definitely. I feel album, like it's a deep album. It's a pretty good album for me. Speaking of albums, for our topic this week, we're going to go with our favorite song from each Drake album.
Yep, we're going to go all the way from So Far Gone all the way up to Certified Lover Boy. And we're going to include Care Package. We're not going to include What a Time to Be Alive. But yeah, all the other solo Drake projects. So let's get into it. You want to start us off here with your choice from So Far Gone?
Of course. So this is one of the ones I was more confident. We're talking today a little bit, are we going to have some of the same ones? And I mean, this is going to be a complete surprise. You don't know each other's lists. So this is one I'm confident that we don't have the same one though. For So Far Gone, I had The Calm, just a classic Drake track there. I mean, not much needs to be said about it, of course. What's your pick there?
My pick of So Far Gone is Successful. Obviously, love the classic Drake and Lil Wayne combos. I think, we're going to see that with these selections here, but Successful just is a hit for me. I remember I had an Android phone back in the day, and I had some app where you could download ringtones and stuff, and Successful was one of my ringtones I used to have back in the day. So I had to stick with it.
That's a great pick. That was in consideration for me. Also Houston, Atlanta, Vegas as well. So that was probably my top 3 off that one that I was looking.
Definitely. I think, there's some albums here that have a lot of choices. This is one that has a couple of choices, I think. And then, we'll get into some of the ones that have 10 choices you could pick, and I wouldn't argue it soon.
All right. Moving on to Thank Me Later. For my choice, I had Over. I mean, it's probably one of Drake's first songs that popped off other than I'm blanking here off So Far Gone.
Best I Ever Had.
Yeah, Best I Ever Had.
Yes, sir.
Blanking on that, but Over, just such a huge track. I just loved it from the moment I heard it. I was a little kid just banging that it was one of those ones that was on MTV playing on the screen. Just a great track, still stuck in my rotation, of course. What was your pick off that album?
Thank Me Later. I went with Miss Me, another Drake and Lil Wayne combo. I feel like that's just how it goes. Those two can't miss. And this is one of my all-time favorite songs from Drake, probably. Love it. I specifically remember one time you, me, Austin, and my mom were going to eat with the big family at the Chinese restaurant in Danville. And I was playing music off my iPod in the car. And I played this clean version, of course. I was 12 or whatever. I just remember rapping along to this, and it was just fire.
See, I don't have remembrance of that, but
I
See,
vividly remember. I don't know why. I remember it was at like 119 there, like the cross on the way
mhm.
there to Danville, and I was just rapping the song. I remember it. But back to your choice, Over. My like random memory with Over is I was watching shoot, what's the show? It's America's Next Top Dance Crew or whatever. Do you
Mhm.
remember that show from like the
I
2010s
do
probably?
not know.
Oh my god, it was like just different like dance groups like doing different like challenges or topics to see who the next top dance crew in America was going to be. And I don't think the Jabberwockies were on the show, but they might have been. But they came on an episode, I think. I don't think they were like a group that was like trying to win the show, but I think they like came back as like a celebrity dance team or whatever. And they did a dance to Over. Maybe it wasn't even the Jabberwockies. Maybe it was a different dance group. Somebody on that show was dancing to Over, and it was like the part where like I'm riding through the city with my high beams on, and like they hit like a little move, and I was like, that was hard. Like I vividly remember that to this day.
Have you heard like the 300 violin orchestra version of this?
No, you got to put me
Oh my,
on.
it is hard. It's like a little classical, violin, and it is hard. That's all I gotta say for that.
I'll have to
Moving,
check it out.
definitely, you guys all check that out as well. But moving on to Take Care, I feel like this is definitely one of the ones. We're gonna start, with the next few ones where you can have the choices are endless with these. For this one, I had Look What You've Done. I mean, I put that in our first video for my song that reminded me of Drake. Just all-time banger, probably my favorite Drake track ever. Just not much needs to be said about that. What is yours off?
I knew you were going to pick that, obviously, because the first episode, I was like, okay, he has to go with this one. That one was in contention for me, but ultimately, I went with Over My Dead Body. Such a strong intro to the album. One of my favorite albums of all time. I mean, some of these lines just go crazy. I think I killed everybody in the game last year, man. Fuck it, I was on though. And I thought I found the girl in my dreams at the strip club. Fuck it, I was wrong though.
That
Mm,
was
like
funny
that's just
enough.
a
That's my number two choice off the album as well. Um,
classic Drake line to intro the album. Gets the vibe set immediately. Nothing else needs to be said on
I
that.
gotta shout out HYFR though. That song was like my shit back in the day. I was in fourth grade just banging that every day. I was like, oh yeah. It
No,
probably not
yeah,
appropriate, of course, but
no,
that's like
HYFR is crazy.
that was one of my favorite Drake tracks back in the day, of course.
Same. I feel like I still throw it on at like parties every now and then. It's like
That song,
people that
yeah,
people
it's
don't
always a
love it.
banger for
No,
me.
I feel like people don't love it the same way I do. Though, like I feel like I'm just sitting there like, met a female dragon, had a fight conversation, and people were like, just straight face, like drinking their drinks. I'm just like, this is like one of the best songs ever. Like, get down
Definitely.
with this. But this was one of the hardest albums to choose. Like, there's so many great tracks on here. Obviously, you got Marvin's Room, you got The Real Her, HYFR, like you said. I wanted to
The
go with The
motto.
Ride. Cameras / Give Words
Cameras is
Go
ooh,
interlude was like my second choice, though. I wanted to pick it so bad, but ultimately I had to go with Over My Dead Body.
Buried Alive interlude as well. That was another good one off that. There's endless amount of options. I would respect almost any pick off Take Care.
Yeah, Buried Alive interlude. That's like cheating. That's like my Brent Faiyaz Demons answer earlier.
Yeah, definitely it is cheating, but
And one of my answers later is to that same note. So we'll get to that later, though. Let's move on to the next album. What was your choice for Nothing Was the Same?
so this is another one. Like I feel like we're gonna hit a little patch here where we could have all these different choices. My choice was Furthest Thing though. Initially when I'd listened to this project, obviously liked the song. I liked a number of different songs. My favorite song off first listen is probably All Me, back with 2 Chainz, but I can't remember. I think it was probably like my freshman or sophomore year of high school. I just started, this song was just like on repeat for all of high school. And it's just such a great song. I feel like I'm gonna say that about all these songs out there. They're all great songs, of course. What was your choice off that?
Yeah, I mean, Nothing Was the Same. I remember it came out the night before I went on like a school like trip to go to some like leadership convention thing with like the principal of the school
Mhm.
and like some other kids in my grade and stuff. And I remember just listening to it like the entire trip there and the entire trip back. And I was like, this album's crazy. Like, I love it. That was like peak Drake love for me. Ultimately, I ended up going with Too Much, though. Just such a great song. I respect your choice. There were some other good choices. I thought like All Me was I'm with you. That when it dropped, All Me was like one of my favorite songs for
Crazy.
years. Like I loved
Yeah.
that song, but I don't go
We
back to it. So it's like I had to choose something that I'm like has like stuck with me for all these years, and that was too much.
we had a conversation, probably it's probably been maybe a couple months or a month or so, about All Me, about the extended version. That extended version still goes crazy.
Only the real
Uh
ones know.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was like watching Nardwar with Aziz Ansari,
Mhm.
and Aziz was talking about like he opened up for Drake at some like small show one time, and Drake was like super late, but not like, rappers are just late. Sometimes there was like a snowstorm, so he was like really late, and so the people were like had been waiting for hours. Like they didn't send Aziz out, and then there was like a break. Like they just made them wait forever, and then Aziz came out like when Drake was like getting ready, and so these people have been waiting, and then they're ready for Drake. And then Aziz Ansari comes out and they're like, oh my God, like these people are not here for that. And then all of a sudden, Cuba Gooding Jr., the actor, he's just like in the crowd and he just goes up on stage. He's like, respect Aziz Ansari. Listen to this, man. He's one of the funniest people alive. Whatever. It's a video on YouTube if you want to go watch it, but it's pretty crazy. And Aziz is like, what is he doing? Like it was just so random. But then that obviously that was what was made me think about the Can't Get No More Free Randy intro on All Me into that extended version. Different. Only the real ones remember.
Definitely. Moving on to, if you're reading this is too late. I mean, just to touch on that time period of Drake for a little bit. He had Rico, and then he had he had Rico on Meek Mill's project, and then he had the beef with Meek Mill. He had What a Time to Be Alive and this project all at the same time. Drake was killing it whenever I was in 8th grade. I remember that was just all my Instagram feed, all the Meek Mill memes. And then What a Time to Be Alive was obviously, just such a banger. And I wanted to, personally, I don't think either of us, respected put it on there because, it's a collab album. So I don't think we'll ever do any collab albums, but still just such a great project. Anyways, getting into my pick. This is the one where I think we may have a similar answer here. I went with Star 6-7. This is probably my favorite like flow switch from Drake. He has some crazy flow switches out there, but I mean, just that back half of the song just goes crazy. What is your pick?
I had to go with Star 67 as well. That song is crazy. I didn't know we were going to pick on this album because this, to me, is one of the deepest and most consistent Drake projects there is. I could have seen you pick some different options. I mean, like No Tellin' hits,
Jungle.
Company hits, Jungle hits. So I could see a lot of picks here, but Star 67 is just the one for me.
Just such a great project. I was trying to go through the discographies a little bit this week, once we had chose our subject, and this is like, we got a lot of rapper Drake out of this, and I really enjoyed the project. I felt like nothing was the same. We didn't get too much rapping, like obviously, rapping, of course, but he went hard on this. This is kind of where like the ghostwriting rumors, there's the amplified, of course. Yeah, rumors. All right, yeah.
It was real.
But it's crazy, just some of the lines on here are just so out of pocket, like he's in the six kicking with the wrist, like
Facts.
on a
now this is to me one of my favorite Drake projects. I don't want to give too much away because one day we probably will do that Drake project / album ranking. But this is just such a great project. One song that was really just hitting for me, I remember when this dropped, was 6 Man. I just love 6 Man, like
6
Lil Will.
Man, yes.
I mean, that just hit, like it came out during basketball season. I'm like 99% sure. And I was just like, oh my God, like I was just in the gym listening to 6 Man. I was like, oh yeah, this is fire.
That's still a banger. 6 got off that as well to, keep it with the 6 there. Moving on. Views. This one was like, I remember it being so hyped up for so long, and I felt like at first, it didn't hit the same way it does now. Like this album has grown on me so much. It's like right up there with my favorite Drake projects. Off this album, I chose Weston Road Flows. What did you choose?
I Will Feel No Ways.
This is another one I feel that's pretty deep. You have Redemption, Feel No Ways, of course. Hype, that was my favorite track at the time, the release, and then Still Here. Like this is a deep album. I feel like this one has definitely grown over time. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel like this is one where Drake I forget what project it was on, but he said something, like years later, they're gonna come around and call it a sleeper. And I feel like he was talking about Views here. I forget what project he says that on, or what song. But I feel like, Views did kind of get some negative reactions at first, but it kind of grew on a lot of people. I liked it when it dropped because that was like peak fanboy Drake for me. So I was like, anything he does, I love. But I think it's a solid project. I actually remember a funny story about one of the day it came out was it obviously dropped on a Friday, so I listened to it on Thursday night, and then Friday I was at school, and one of my friends and I had like a library class together. Like I worked in the library in sixth hour, so like I would just sit in the library on my phone and like do nothing basically. But and he like was a tutor during that hour, so we just like chilled basically and played games on our phone and did whatever. And this was like in a time when we were like about to go to college, and there was like an app for us to meet other students going to ISU, and you could just post in the feed, and people would like it, comment on it, add you, whatever. And he was like, "Oh, Drake album dropped. Like, give me something to say about Views." And like one of the lines on one of the songs, Drake says, "Six Cold as Alaska, Views already a classic." I said, "Just tweet that," or I just posted on there, and he did. And like people were like giving him like, "Views sucks," or like, "Oh my god, so far." It was a mix, but it was pretty funny.
Would you say that's your favorite line off the album, or do you have a specific favorite line off the album?
Oh,
I know
don't know
mine.
my favorite
Yeah.
would be. You say
So
yours. Give me a
yeah.
second.
So
To think.
obviously off Weston Road Flows. On some Vince Carter through the legs, arm in the hoop shit. That's just a fire bar there for me.
That's solid. One of the ones, this might not be my favorite, but I still love "And My Wife Uses Spice," like I'm David Beckham. Like obviously a little nod to the Spice Girls and Victoria Beckham. Kind of a fire line. Don't know if it's my favorite, but that's one that comes to mind. I was like, I liked that when I first heard it.
Definitely. Yeah. Views definitely has grown on me a ton. So we'll get into that in the album ranking. I go a little more in depth on that. Moving on here. We have More Life. What was your favorite track off that?
I mentioned a couple episodes ago, Teenage Fever. I love Teenage Fever. This is one where I was contemplating going with a song, that Drake was not in, George's Interlude. That song goes crazy. I also was considering 4422, but ultimately had to go with Teenage Fever. What about you?
I went with Do Not Disturb. That's one of my favorite Drake tracks ever. It's just a banger, of course. Did I already tell the story how I like rediscovered that off TikTok pretty much? I think that was like last week almost. So
Yeah, you definitely did say that story, but I mean, hey, go ahead and tell it again in case some people didn't hear.
So, this is obviously probably my favorite track off the album at first. Oh, actually, just to go a little bit more into the album, Gigs on that album killed it. KMT was one of my favorites off rip there. But so I just had heard a TikTok and I couldn't think of the song's name, and then I ended up looking up the lyrics, cheating a little bit, and found it, and that's probably been a few years now, and it's been in constant rotation since.
For sure, that song's really good. I mean, that's definitely a great choice from the album as well. And I feel like this is a project that not to get too much in the album review here, but I feel like it's a project that a lot of people had complaints with, that it wasn't like a full project. It technically is like a playlist. Like Drake said, it's a playlist. It's not an album. It's not a mixtape. Whatever. But there are some good songs on it nonetheless. So
yeah, I think this is where we kind of see the decline of Drake a little bit. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad artist or anything. Obviously, one of my favorites ever. But just going from a run of Take Care, Nothing Was the Same. If you're reading this, It's Too Late in Views, to kind of what he's put out past that. It's kind of hard to top that. So, I mean,
facts. That's like, people only remember you for your last thing you did, basically. And Drake's the perfect example of that. Drake gets clowned all the time right now because, some of these last projects, which we're about to get into, may not be up to the standard that some of those old ones were, which is obviously unfortunate, but he's always going to have hits. Every album's going to have a couple hits at the minimum. You know what I mean?
Of course. All right. Now moving on, we have Scorpion. What is your pick off this?
Scorpion was the hardest album to decide what song I was going to choose.
It's such a long album.
And you might be thinking, oh my God, he loves it so much. He has so many songs he loves. No, I don't think I go back to like a single song on this project. So it took me like a long time to decide what song I was going to choose. There's not any song I like love on this project, but I went with Mob Ties.
Mob Ties is a banger. That was one that was up there. I mean, that's still one I go back to. I feel like I don't know. That's too much flack for that. But of course, you know, you have your own listening preferences and everything. My song off Scorpion was Don't Matter to Me. This is the only song I chose that had a feature on it. So just obviously a banger. The MJ vocals go crazy. Another song off there that's like, so Mob Ties, like you said, and then Nice for What's also kind of stuck in my rotation. But those are, yeah, like you said, there's not too many off there. Still some decent songs off there, of course.
Yeah, I just, don't go back to Scorpion very much. Like, I feel like that's one of the things with streaming. The availability of streaming is just like you can go to whatever song you want. Like, it's not like I only have the Scorpion CD. That's all I have to listen to. You know what I mean? Like, if I want to listen to Drake, I can go back and listen to any Drake song I want right now. So I just don't find myself, seeking out Scorpion very often.
Definitely. And, you know, like we were just talking about with such a deep discography, you know, it's understandable there.
Definitely. Let's get into Care Package. We're debating whether we should or should not include it, but some of Drake's best songs are on Care Package, so I feel like it'd be wrong to not include it. What was your choice off of Care Package?
This was one of the tougher choices for me. You know, there's just so many bangers on this album. I ended up going with Dreams Money Can Buy. Just obviously a banger. So reminiscent of, it was like my senior year of high school. This had came out in the summer that leading into it. Obviously, you know, I've heard the songs before, but it's just so much nicer having everything accessible on, you know, like Apple Music or Spotify at the time for me. So what was your pick off this?
I had to go with 5 a.m. in Toronto. I love any number in place song by Drake, and this is no exception. This is probably the best one, if we're being honest. I remember I was in high school. I don't know what year this came out originally, but it was one of my favorite Drake songs ever since it came out. And I was in a class where we did Photoshop, and one of the projects we had to do was like take a face of a person and then put words across it. The example we got in class was Abraham Lincoln with like the Emancipation Proclamation across his face. And me, I wasn't going with like the Declaration of Independence with my choice. I had to make it music. I had to make it sports, to do something. So I went with Drake, a picture of Drake from some like magazine photo shoot or something. And then the lyrics to 5 a.m. in Toronto. Obviously, we were in school, so I had to get rid of all the explicit words in there, which is obviously tough to do sometimes. That leads me to another story. In one of my school projects in junior year, in AP English, we had to like make a soundtrack to some book we were reading in class. And for those who don't know me, I'm not a big reader for school. Like, I'm not gonna do all that. Like, I'm gonna finesse and sorry mom if you're listening. Anyway, the book was The Pearl, though, if I remember correctly. And, it's about like greed, and that was like a main theme. So we had to come up with different songs for different points throughout the book. And one song I chose was Power by Kanye West, because, that's pretty fitting for the theme of the book. And so I had to turn in the lyrics as well as just the title of the song, obviously. And she was like, you chose a rap song, like, so please, cross out all the explicit words. I'm like, all right, got you. I missed a lot of them. Like, there's a lot in that song that I just did not see, I guess, or I just glossed over. And so I lost points, and I was like down horrendous, but whatever. It was all, no regrets.
That's interesting. You're not much of a reader. I'm like huge into reading books and everything, even for school, 40 book club member. Okay. So, I got a little day in Champagne for that, but yeah, I loved reading. So
I used to love reading a lot. Like when I was like really young, like I was knocking out Harry Potter books on the daily, but man, I don't know, just those school books, I was just not trying to read those for whatever reason.
The Great Gatsby, that will always be one of my favorite movies and books. We read that in junior year of English, and we had some bangers in classes too. So I mean, I'm not sure if it was just the AP versus regular class vibes, but
yeah, no shade, but I don't think AP was the move for me.
All right, moving on here, we have Dark Lane Demos. What is your favorite track off that?
Earlier you were talking about the decline of Drake, and that's where it started back in More Life. I think it keeps up here with that theme. I don't find myself going back to Dark Lane demo tapes too often, but there is one song that stood out to me from the first listen that I was like, okay, this is the one. Chicago Freestyle.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen, our first mutual pick here.
It's song, our second. Now it's our second.
Oh, it's star 6-7. My fault.
Yes, sir.
This song just screams 2020 quarantine to me.
Oh yeah.
I remember seeing a little snippet of this of him doing the Eminem Superman verse, and it's just, I mean, it stays in my rotation just because of that. Drake kills it. That's got to be like one of my favorite verses from Drake, even though it's not really his lyrics, but
Yeah. I'm so with you there that it reminds me of 2020. I feel like that should be maybe we should do that next week. Maybe we should do what songs remind us of quarantine.
I like that. I like that a lot.
All right.
Let us know some feedback on that if you guys would like a video like that.
You guys just heard it here first. That's what next week's episode is going to be. I feel like we never say what next week's episode is going to be, but we actually had the stroke of genius that that's what next week's episode is going to be. That, we just got to give a shout out to the NFR podcast, one of our, favorite podcasts on the internet, favorite content creators. Shout out to Lou and Ant. They're killing it, but they just put out 10 songs that help with mental health. And so I think the 10 songs that something is a really good format for a video. So I think 10 songs remind us of quarantine. That could bang.
There we go. You guys heard it here first. So tune in next week for that. So moving on here, Certified Lover Boy, Drake's most recent project. What were your thoughts on the project before we get into the song?
Ooh, obviously it was pitted against Donda right when it dropped. The Drake and Kanye beef was maybe at its height at that point. And obviously I was Team Ye, Team Donda. Certified Lover Boy, it was all right. Like, I listened to it. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna go back to that. This was another one. I mentioned that Scorpion was hard to decide because I don't listen to it very much. Certified Lover Boy was easier because it is so much more recent, and like, it's harder to not have these songs in your rotation because of how recent they are. But ultimately, I went with You Only Live Twice featuring Rick Ross and Lil Wayne.
It's a good choice there. Talking a little bit about the beef there. I remember a lot of people, like pages like Academics, were posting like who's going to outsell who, and I was like, I was Team Donda, Team Ye there, of course, and I liked that Donda and Ye more at the time, but I still do, obviously. But I was like, there's no way Kanye is ever going to outsell Drake. There's no way. I mean, really, any artist is going to outsell Drake. That is the king of album sales right there. But anyways, getting into my choice here, I chose TSU. It was between Knife Talk or TSU. Like you said, this album really hasn't been in my rotation a lot. I didn't like it a lot, but I can still, I can still pick out a few songs I'll like off there. So
yeah, I like both those picks. I was actually considering Knife Talk as well. One song that I just randomly was like, you know what? Maybe I like this song more than I thought was Race My Mind. I was like, okay, I kind of like that song. I was like, maybe that is my favorite. But then I was like, okay, no, it's not. Like, stop playing.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. Like, I see a lot of people like it. Like, I feel like the more general audience likes Certified Lover Boy more than Donda, but to me, it's not close.
No way. It's not even close. Kanye like started the whole like Christian rap thing on Jesus. Obviously he didn't start it, but in his career, he started it with Jesus is King. And then, he took it the next level with Donda. He was able to like put out these songs that aren't explicit, that actually sound like good, even though sometimes, you're like, oh, like we know what he's trying to say. Just put the curse word in there. You know what I mean? But he still just did such a better job of it than he did on Jesus is King. And it was like actually good songs. Although it is long, I do have my issues with it, but overall it's a much better project than Certified Lover Boy.
The more I listen to Donda, the more it claws up Kanye's album ranking for me. Like, it's getting up there. We'll have that video one day, but
One day.
I really like Donda.
Yeah, Donda's good, but we'll see when we get to that ranking video. All right, well, that was our favorite song on every Drake project. We're gonna get an Instagram post out this week. Please comment on there. Tell us what your favorite Drake song on every project is. We'd love to hear it. We'll respond to them next episode.
Definitely. So let's move into some news this week. It's honestly been kind of slow week. Do you want to get into some of the music dropping this week?
Yeah, I feel like this is a week where there's not too much dropping. Like, there's nothing that I'm like super excited for. Like, there's not an album that I'm like, okay, at 11 on Thursday, I'm listening to this 100%. Like, I don't think there's an album I'm gonna listen to this week. I'll say it. The singles I'll listen to, but let's get into it. So for albums dropping this week, it's pretty slim. There's not very many rap albums dropping. So yeah, we're gonna touch on two that aren't really rap: Charlie XCX and Rosalia. Other albums, you kind of have like Tiana Major 9. I'm familiar with the name. Smino's featured on the EP, so I might give that one a listen. As well as Midwest. I've been hearing some buzz around their name, so give that a listen as well.
Speaking on Charlie XCX a little bit here. So this is like a core memory for me. Like it's kind of like one of those scenes out of a movie. So this is what I'm in 7th grade, my first school dance. I'm just walking in. I'm like so nervous and everything. And then like boom claps playing by her, and it's just the vibes were just immaculate. It's a core memory for me for sure.
That is definitely the making of like a Disney Channel original movie. Like I could just see like the little nervous kids walking into his first dance and boom claps on. He just, all the stress goes away and you just feeling better.
Yeah, I can never not listen to that song and just like picture myself in that moment.
That's what the great thing about music gives you, that memory.
Definitely.
But let's get into some of the singles dropping this week. We have a new Lil Uzi Vert single that will be for the Nego project, Juice WRLD, with a song that has been, obviously leaked for years, but it'll finally be out. Tory Lanez, Guap 4000, 504 and featuring Quavo. Which one of these are you most excited to listen to?
Definitely excited for my boy Fabio to drop. I'm still anticipating his album, so hopefully it's a banger. Quavo is one of my favorite artists, or he was back in high school, so I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I agree. I think this has potential to be a banger, so we'll have to see. But talking about there's nothing dropping, I had something on my sleeve. Shout out to Monet Marlowe, one of my classmates at No Label Academy. She just put out a great project. Go give it a listen. It is called Now You Know, EP out now. Go show it some love. Tell her Second Avenue sent you.
Definitely. And we're going to have to start putting some of your classmates on. We had on our way to Chicago, we were listening to a few different tracks, and I'm pretty much every one of them killed it in their own aspect. So we'll start putting you guys on with that.
Obviously, we got some tricks up our sleeves. It'll be coming soon. So a project that dropped last week that we didn't really talk about was Non-Perishable by Toby Lou. I've been a fan of Toby Lou for a couple years. Don't know how I missed it in the episode last week. Maybe we said it, but we didn't talk about it. But this project, it's been doing pretty well. And Toby Lou said he's removing it from streaming services. It was only going to be out for a week, which, I think is obviously funny because the name of the album is Non-Perishable. But this was a whole, ploy to get people to buy the album. Because, when you're just streaming music, you don't own it. But when you buy it, you own it to an extent. So he was getting people to do that. It was shooting up the charts on the iTunes rap charts all the way up to number 2 today. And then he said if it hit number 1, he would leave it. And it did hit number 1. So we'll see if it stays. But it's a pretty great project. So you should definitely give it a listen if you haven't already. What do you think about this strategy? What do you think about taking the project off after 7 days? Do you think he was ever going to take it off, or do you think it was just a strategy to get people to buy the album?
I don't like taking off albums at all. Snoop just did it last week with the Chronic and Doggy Style. These these artists, maybe not Toby Lou as much as to an extent as Snoop Dogg, but they're millionaires, and Snoop Dogg's trying to turn the albums into NFTs and everything. I don't like it at all. Kind of like a scummy move. Give the fans what they want. You're already rich enough, pretty much.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, but obviously it's cool for them to have ownership of everything.
Of course.
So I get it, but let the fans eat.
Moving on here. X's documentary called Look at Me, coming to Hulu on June 10th. What are you most excited to see?
Obviously X was like a pretty polarizing person. He had some, legal problems, some, violence in his history. And, some people obviously did not like him for that reason. I was a fan of his music. I'm just kind of hoping it shows him as a person in a different light that we haven't seen before. I think that was a big thing that they nailed with Genius. So I'm really excited to see how they show X in this documentary. It's also an interesting thing because, he's obviously not alive anymore. So he doesn't really have a say in how he's portrayed. So obviously his family's done a pretty good job of, keeping his image intact. So I'm sure, they'll make sure it's in a good light. But yeah, I'm just excited to see how they portray him to the public because, obviously he was one of the biggest artists and he continues to be one of the biggest artists even without putting out new music. So I'm just excited to see, some new sides to X that we might not have seen before.
Definitely. I think the moment, the one of the moments I'm most excited for, he's a Florida Jet, and Rolling Loud Miami, he kills it. I mean, he kills a lot of his line performances, but I mean, there it was just different. I couldn't even imagine being in those pits.
Yeah, I remember some of those X shows, like the videos were crazy back in the day. Like, have you ever seen the one where he like gets punched in the face on stage?
Yes, he gets dropped on stage. It's
That
like,
one's crazy. And I remember like X shows where like there were riots outside. Like they would just get shut down before they even started. Like I think the one in Chicago, like I honestly don't know how many times he came to Chicago, but I am pretty sure one time he came to Chicago, there was like so many people, there was like a riot and they had to like shut it, not like a riot, but
mhm.
he got charged with inciting a riot or threatened to be. And so they had to shut the show down and he didn't get to perform.
Crazy stuff.
So hoping we get some of this wild footage and just, see X for the person he was.
Yeah, I mean, even those moments we'd like to see, of course. Moving on here, Denzel Curry releases track list for his upcoming album Melt My Eyes, See Your Future, dropping next Friday. Which track are you most looking forward to?
There's a lot of great tracks on this track list. You got features from Robert Glasper, Saul Williams, Bridget Perez, Black, Rico Nasty, JID, Josiah, and 454 and Slow Tie. The Slow Tie song has obviously already been out, as well as Walkin', two singles that have been fantastic. I think the ones that I'm looking most forward to are John Wayne, because it's produced by JPEG Mafia. Peggy is one of my favorite artists, so he kills the production on his music as well. And then it's gonna have to be Ain't No Way with Black, Rico Nasty, JID, and Josiah. That's such a stacked feature list, and I'm just excited to see how all these people sound on one track. They obviously have similar styles to an extent. Like Black and Rico Nasty are pretty different. Josiah and JID are pretty different, but sometimes they can make some magic when everybody's getting a little bit outside the comfort zone. So we'll see how this one turns out. But I'm excited. I love a good posse cut with this many people. So we'll see how it turns out.
Definitely. I have to agree with you on the Ain't No Way pick. Like that is a deep feature list there. So hopefully we get a banger. Hopefully we get a banger album. I'm kind of running out of music here. I'm having to go back a little bit in time to find some new tracks to listen to.
Denzel with Taboo had one of the best projects of 2018. So I have no reason not to think that he'll deliver a classic with this project. I mean, these two singles have been so good. He's creating like such a world with this project. The videos have been cool. The teaser video. So I'm really excited to see what he delivers this project. The production all looks great. I mean, you got a Thundercat produced song, Cardo Got Wings, Power's Pleasant, Noah Goldstein. Like this is going to be crazy. I'm sure of it. And I am even more sure of it now that we have this track list. So yeah, definitely excited for next week. So you'll hear our thoughts about this project next week. I'm excited to give them to you.
Definitely. Moving on to our last bit of news. Kanye West banned from Instagram for 24 hours for harassing Skeet. What are your thoughts on that?
There's obviously the argument for, freedom of speech or, whatever. But Kanye, he's been out of pocket. I feel like we dick ride Kanye sometimes. Kanye's been out of pocket on Instagram. It is hilarious sometimes. But wow, he's been saying some crazy things. Obviously, earlier this week, we had the whole text chain leak between Kanye and Skeet saying all the different things. Where you at? I'm in bed with your wife with a selfie. That is like one of the craziest things Pete could say. And then he goes in a different approach with some of these texts later on, trying to get help, trying to meet up, talk it out. Kanye's trying to get him to come to Sunday service. I would love if Pete went to Sunday service. That would be hilarious just to see, like, obviously people would be there taking pictures and stuff, but just seeing those two like together, maybe hashing it out, that'd be great.
Nah, I couldn't hash it out after some text like that. Like, yeah, that's just scummy. That's I mean, I didn't like that. It's so passive aggressive and everything. Like you start out the combo that way, and then you're trying to be buddy at the end there. So I mean, it just furthers my argument for Team Kanye. Of course, I don't hate Skeet, but I don't like that.
Obviously I feel like it's maybe he was like, he sent the message of in bed with your wife that he was like, should not have said that. And then so he's trying to backtrack it a little bit. Like he realized he went too far, but at some point you just can't. You can't
Yeah,
take
but
stuff like that back. Like you went too
yeah.
far. You gotta live with it, and just you got to keep that same energy at some point. So I don't know.
What was that? Oh, and then I was watching Kim K was on Ellen this week, and like they were talking. He got Kim's name branded on him, and he's got like tattoos of Kim art. Like that's just weird. Like I don't know.
I think that's just how he is, though. Some people don't care about their tattoos. Like I know him and Ariana Grande got like the same like matching tattoos or whatever. I feel like he got the little like Ariana Grande logo on him. I think he got like a Harry Potter tattoo if I remember right. Whatever.
Yeah, and
I feel like
I
some
did
people
see
just don't care.
I did see another thing, which to the point of that where he just kind of gets like tattoos for like the moments in his life to kind of keep track of that or whatever. So I mean, I like that. I don't know about tattooing a girl's name on me that soon.
Hey, but you're not gonna be dating Kim Kardashian. You know what I mean? Like if you got your chance with Kim, you might have
Yeah.
to. You might have to do it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And then another thing, like there were the rumors obviously got brought back up. There were reported rumors about Skeet doing the same thing to Mac, and I don't know. It's just is this the downfall of Skeet for me? Maybe.
Yeah, that's definitely like a pretty scummy thing if this is not only like a one but two-time offense to be like, kind of starting stuff with your current partner's ex. Like that's kind of fucked up. So and obviously, Mac and Ariana were pretty serious, and obviously Pete and her also were, but I don't know, like something just better left unsaid.
Yeah, definitely. Of course. And then we don't have anything written in here for fan questions for this week. Moving past all that, we got our weekly Kanye talking, but so I have I'll just come up with one here just on the spot. What are 3 songs that are in your rotation this week?
Okay, to start us off, one song that has been in my rotation this week, heavy, a classic, Novocaine by Frank Ocean. I've been listening to this like every day. It's been so nice this week. I've been just having the windows down. I've been just listening to Novocaine, singing at the top of my lungs. It's been just great. It's been one of my favorite songs for years. It was the first Frank Ocean song I ever heard, and it's just been hitting.
For me, I had a kind of a underground pick here. I have this artist I've been listening to a little bit, Roy Blair with Thunder. Go check it out. It's a banger, of course. I like, well, not a banger, but it's a good little vibe song to listen to.
A second song I've listened to heavy this week has been The Sun by Casey. Casey, ever since I heard him on Donda, I was like, okay, this guy's got some potential. I'm ready to see what he does. And, he's dropped 3 songs recently that have all been pretty good. And The Sun's been the biggest one in my rotation recently. So go give that song a listen. He's another pretty low-key artist. So get on now.
My second track is Empty by Kevin Abstract. Good little single there. Great song. Just been constantly in the rotation this week for me.
That's a great choice. This is I'm going to expose myself here, but I was at a Brockhampton concert, and before they came out, they were the only act. There wasn't an opener or anything. Mm-hmm. So he was playing music over like the speakers, and they played Empty. And I was like, what is, like, I met some random people there, and I was like, what song is this? They're like, oh, it's Kevin's solo song, Empty. And I was like, I'm fake. Like, I'm at a Brockhampton concert, didn't even listen to Kevin's solo work. But then that, it showed me, I was like, okay, I need to listen to Kevin's solo work. So I did afterwards, and it's pretty good.
I mean, I feel like that's like always an interesting thing. Like, I don't like people judging others, for music you haven't heard, or, like they probably weren't judging you, but you were taking it hard on yourself, because that's just kind of like the way society's made, or the music community's made it,
Exactly. I'm like, I pride myself in knowing a lot of music, and I didn't know that. And I was at the concert even, and I clown people all the time for being, fake fans, or, whatever, at a concert that, you're just there for the hype or whatever. I did love Brockhampton. I still love Brockhampton. I was there for Brockhampton. I wasn't necessarily there for Kevin's songs. They weren't doing Kevin's songs, but hey, it put me on. So, and they definitely weren't clowning me. They were just like, oh yeah, it's Kevin's music.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Let's go. Okay, cool. Like, so
yeah,
I learned.
But yeah, I retract a little bit on the clowning part. Maybe it's just I just don't like how that's viewed in the whole music community. Like,
oh no, I'm sure if I asked three people next to them, they'd probably be like, it's Kevin Zell music.
Yeah.
Like, because some of those Brockhampton fans are definitely like pretentious.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. The other song I want to give a shout out to is Billy Joe by Benny the Butcher. Been loving Tana Talk 4. And Billy Joe is one of my favorites, so I've been listening to that heavy.
For my last one here, I have no idea why this came up into my rotation a couple days ago. If you follow in the music story, I posted it today. Team by Lord has been hitting this week. I don't know why. I don't know like what even made me go listen to that, but Heroin by Lord, that's a good album. Good little pop album for me.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I obviously know that song, but I don't really know too much Lord, so I feel like maybe I got to go do a deep dive on Lord's catalog one day.
Definitely. Heroin's a very good listen, of course. So
for sure. So we actually did have one fan question. Shout out to my boy Chalky. He says on YouTube, we missed this one. It's been out for a couple of weeks. He says, which artist is the most influential to the rest of the industry by having a new and unique sound?
I mean, obviously, I think everybody could guess my pick here, but just going specifically into 808s and Heartbreak, that was just such a unique sound for the time. Genius made a great video, and it's just how 808s and Heartbreak influenced a whole generation of music. So everyone just go check that out. That'd pretty much be why my answer it is. What was your pick?
Yeah, I think 808s is like, and Kanye. 808 specifically though, that influenced a whole generation. You look at Drake, you look at, even like a Juice WRLD, obviously big inspiration from that album. Kanye would have been my choice too, but I'm gonna go somebody different. I'm gonna go Playboy Cardi. I feel like these rage beats are just taking off. You look at somebody like Yeet, you even look at like a new Trippy Red sound. I feel like Playboy Cardi has had a big inspiration to those artists. So going Playboy Cardi might not be the best answer. I think Kanye is the best answer, but I think Playboy Cardi is, an acceptable answer.
Definitely. I like that answer a lot because, I mean, just go listen to Yeet Project, for example.
Everybody's a vamp now.
Definitely. Yeah, everybody's wanting that sound and everything. I love all the little Cardi trolls, hating on Yeet.
Hey, I love Yeet just the same.
Definitely. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this week. Any closing thoughts from you?
Yeah, I just, obviously Drake was one of my favorite artists when I was growing up. May not love him as much as I once did, but it's been so great to go back and revisit some of my favorite tracks from Drake. And, I enjoyed it. So looking forward to doing some more artists and looking forward to next week. That vinyl just fell.
Damn it. Yeah.
If you're watching on YouTube, you just saw that because I'm not going to cut it. But yeah, we're going to do this for more artists, talk about our favorite songs on every album. We're eventually going to get into, ranking our favorite albums from artists. But next week, we're bringing that 10 songs that remind us of COVID or quarantine. So be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, let us know any songs that remind you of COVID. We'll put out an Instagram poll this week so you can give us some and then we'll react to them in the episode.
Definitely. And one last closing thought for me here. We are out of questions, guys. We need questions. We love doing these every week. Please drop us some questions if you're listening. DM us on IG or you can do our personal IGs. They'll be right there with the video. So please, guys.
Give us those questions. Well, with all that being said, thank you guys for listening and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.